Tonight's story is entitled Ogres and Princesses. It was written by me, and it's still maybe a little bit of a work in progress. But other than that, I'm yeah. it's pretty decent. At least I'd like to think so. Regardless, I think it's about time that we begin. Once upon a time, there was a kingdom, a rather prosperous kingdom. And in this kingdom, there was obviously a king. And so, because the kingdom was prosperous, the king felt that it was time to support the people in any way that he can. He helped them. He helped them by paying enchanters to bless the fields for more crops and a better harvest. He helped them by establishing guard duty throughout the cities. He helped them by establishing a firm rule, and yet a merciful rule. Years later, he figured it was time to try and find an heir who would be willing to help him in his quest to improve the lives of his people. And so he married a princess from a far-off kingdom, create an alliance between the two, create trade deals, and all the like. She was roughly his age, thankfully, and soon they began having children. The oldest was a girl, as was the second, and as was the third. But before they could have a male heir, his wife, the queen, fell ill, and soon she passed away. Years later, the daughters all grew up to have their settings, their specialties, if you will. They would find a skill in which they all excelled after turning the age of 12. The oldest, now 18, went into the arts, the intellectual arts, math, science, all these things to try and better the kingdom. The second daughter, around 15, found herself training to be a knight in the royal guard. Her expertise with the sword was unmatched in the kingdom. And the youngest, 11, turning 12 the next month. She had no clue as to what her talent would be. For she simply enjoyed sitting in the fields, picking daisies, and playing with the sheep. Though, a week before her birthday, tragedy struck. The king seemed to fall ill with the same sickness that took his wife. The oldest daughter, not being ready to take the kingdom, determined that they needed to find a cure for whatever this sickness was. And so she researched and researched. 3 days before the youngest's birthday, they found an answer. A flower. Purple and gold, shimmering across its leaves. This flower, when made into a tea, could cure any ailment, And so they gathered together the guardsmen. The only problem is that on the way to the island that held this flower, there was three trolls that guarded the bridges. To go around the trolls would take months, maybe even a year, and they knew their father did not have that long. And so they gathered together the royal treasury to try and find a way to help their father, to barter with the trolls, to get across the bridges, to get to the flower that held the cure, to save their kingdom. The next day they set out. And they traveled and traveled and traveled. By the end of the day, right around sunset, they came across the first bridge. This expertly crafted and designed bridge looked as if it could carry an army, despite only being so big. As they approached, though, a troll climbed out from underneath. This surprisingly gangly-looking troll was 3 times the size of an average man. And despite its thinner appearance, it still seemed as though it could rip them from limb. So they approached.
Oh, who do you think you are approaching my bridge, humans? For I am the most intelligent troll, the smartest of them all. To approach me would be foolish, which you clearly are.
With this, the elder starter stepped forward. And what presumes you to think us so foolish?
Well, you're humans, of course. And humans are of an inferior intellect to us trolls. As you can see from my bridge. Isn't it beautiful?
She had to admit, it was designed quite well, and some trolls were known for their intelligence. But she knew that the troll would not barter with her if it did not figure her worthy. Well, you see, we humans, despite being so utterly unintelligent, we have devised math equations and scientific formulas to allow us to begin solving the world's greatest mysteries. We have begun developing medicinal cures for diseases, of which we are on a hunt for right now.
I suppose that could be acceptable. Fine. What is your bargain?
We would bargain 1/3 of all the treasures in the treasury.
I suppose this deal is acceptable. You may pass.
And so, they gave the troll 1/3 of the treasury. And they crossed the bridge. They traveled for a few more hours before making camp. And they slept, knowing that despite some humans' feeble intelligence, they all would work together to find a way through it. The next morning, the day before the youngest princess's birthday, they found themselves traveling again. And about mid-afternoon, they found themselves face to face with the second bridge. Though it was less of a bridge and more of a well, a stone path. Constructed relatively well to where it was a flat surface across. And so they approached. But soon, this big figure pulled itself out.
I am the strongest troll. You humans approach if you dare. But be warned, insufficient sacrifice will lead to your demise.
With this, the second sister approached. Sir, may we cross your bridge?
No, because you humans are so weak and feeble that you would simply die if you attempted to cross this bridge.
With this, it did seem to be a bit of an exaggeration. It looked like a well-constructed bridge, and it managed to hold the troll, so clearly it was strong enough. Well, what makes you think that us humans are so feeble?
Well, you humans cannot even lift, say, that rock over there. And yet a troll like myself can do just that.
The troll said as it leaned down, picked up this massive boulder the size of a man, and it hurled it hundreds of feet away. Truly, this feat of strength was quite impressive. And yet the second sister knew. She knew that humans were not weak. Hey, well, the thing is about us humans is that even if we're not the strongest physically, we are the strongest in our numbers and our might. One of us alone may not be able to take on, say, a troll like yourself. But get enough of us together, and we can take out a giant, of which we have multiple times. The troll was impressed. Truly, taking out a giant was a feat unknown to the world, as he himself knew that he could not take out a giant if he was to attempt such a feat.
I suppose this is acceptable. What is your bargain?
We would offer 1/3 of the treasury of our kingdom.
1/3. No, that's far too little.
With this, she panicked. If they gave any more than 1/3 of the total treasury away, then, well, then they wouldn't have enough to bargain with the third troll. With this, she had an idea. A clever, cunning idea. Well, what if we gave you half of our treasury? With this, her sisters seemed to be taken aback. Half of the treasury? No, that was far too much. But then the older sister comprehended. She quieted her youngest sister.
I suppose that bargain is acceptable. You may pass.
And so they gave the troll half of the remaining treasury, which in total was equal to about 1/3 of the original treasury. And so they crossed the bridge, walking, and when night fell, they finally made camp for the night. When they awoke, it was the youngest sister's birthday. And so they approached, about noonday, they approached the final bridge. This bridge was less of a finely constructed thing or a path of stones. This was simply a couple of large boulders spread across the river. And not far away they saw the troll. Truly it was massive. And yet, it was the stupidest of all the trolls.
Who dares approach my bridge?
It bellowed as it approached.
You humans stay far away from my bridge. For you humans, you are ugly, vile creatures. And to have you cross my bridge would be an act of filth upon the land.
And so the oldest sister approached. Why do you presume us so filthy? Wise and strong troll.
You back up, you smell of old wood. Leave me be.
And so the oldest sister did not know how to respond. So the second oldest sister stepped forward. Strong and powerful troll, why do you presume us so filthy?
Back away, small human. For you smell of blood, sweat, and battle. Leave me be, and leave my bridge free from your filth.
With this, the second sister did not know how to respond. And so the third sister approached, the youngest, for she had an idea. Why do you presume us so filthy? Oh, troll.
You smell of flowers. I suppose you're not as gross as the rest. But even still, you, tiny human, you are but a filthy animal who has killed so many of us trolls. Have not given us a chance to prove our goodness to the world.
And with this, the youngest sister, had an idea. Well, what would you want to do? How would you act if you were a human?
I would.
The troll paused and looked down at the ground.
I would pick the flowers in the fields, but I cannot.
With this, he reached down and attempted to pluck a flower out of the ground, but his fingers merely smushed it, crushed it, as he attempted to get the force to pull it out of the ground.
And because of this, all the pretty flowers are so far from my reach.
But the youngest sister, she knew what she had to do. She reached down and she plucked a flower from the earth. Well, If you wanted to prove to us how we should act, then maybe, well, maybe we could help you with that. As she offered the flower to the troll, the prettiest flower of them all, with the sweetest smell. The troll looked down at her, and tears came to his eyes.
You are less filthy than the other humans, for you have helped me. What is it that you desire? What is it that you would want from the other side of my bridge?
We want to find a flower to help our daddy. For he's sick and very well could pass away soon. We don't want to lose him. And so we would use a pretty flower to help him.
And once he is healed,
Well, I suppose we could follow and attempt to help the people. We could bring smiles to their faces, and we could help cure their ailments. And with this, the youngest sister knew her talent. She knew what she wanted to do.
I suppose this is acceptable. There is no bargain needed. You may cross my bridge as much as you would desire.
With this, tears came into the youngest sister's eyes, of her own. And she hugged the big troll's leg, despite the fact that it smelled of muck. Thank you. Oh, so kind, troll.
You are welcome, small one.
And so she crossed the bridge and found fields of the glistening flower. Fields of purple mixed with gold. This flower, this field, this would allow them to cure not just their father, but everyone else in that kingdom. And so she collected as many as she could, came back, went back across and collected as many as she could. And soon they had a wagon full, 2 wagons full, 3 wagons full of flowers. And they returned to that kingdom. As they got there, though, they found that their father was truly bedridden. They found that he was on his last day. And so with haste they prepared the remedy. And so they made this magical tea and served it to their father. And so they found happiness. And yet, they had spent so much of the treasury. Now, how would they provide for their people? It's nice to see you again, my dears, said the king, after he had awoken from his fitful rest. We did it, father. We cured you, and we have so much of the supply of the flower that did it. We could help so many people.
That's lovely, dear.
But without all the money from the treasury, we won't be able to fund the guards. And my studies will have to cease. For if not, the kingdom would fall. Youngest daughter, she came crying as she ran into her father's arms. We're so sorry. We just couldn't lose you. And he held her. He said to her, My dear, there is no cost too great for me to spend another day with my little girls. And with that, the kingdom cultivated the flowers themselves. They became a kingdom of healing, and soon other kingdoms came to them for their help. Because of this, they did not need to send their daughter away to be married. Because of this, they did not need to relax the protections upon the citizens. Because of this, the kingdom flourished more than ever before. And so, the daughters found themselves learning a valuable lesson. Mainly the youngest, who knew her calling. That there was no greater calling than helping those around you, than helping those in need, than using your talents to make the world a better place. The end. So, thank you everyone for watching, and remember to have yourselves one dandy little day. Keep in mind, it will be okay. There's nothing you can do to stop it. And remember to have yourselves one dandy little day.